I'm looking back at the albums I heard growing up. Not like Freak Out or Forever Changes, just the deeper cuts. Here are the albums that made me. While I was living in Wauchula, we never had cable. The closest TV stations were all from Tampa, 70 miles away, up 17 to Bartow and then west on 60 through Mulberry and Brandon. But while my lack of cable meant that I couldn't watch MTV whenever I wanted to, we did have V32, WTMV, and they started broadcasting out of Lakeland in 1986 on UHF Channel 32. They played nothing but music videos. Their hosts included George Lowe, who went on to be the voice of Space Ghost for Space Ghost Coast to Coast and Cartoon Planet, and also jazz guitarist Mike Pacelli. V32's library of videos was nowhere near as extensive as MTV's, though, so there are a few you were guaranteed to see if you watched long enough. And one of those was an instrumental track that really caught my attention. The song was called Zap, a speedy little rockin' instrumental shuffle with these interesting expansive chorus melodies and a completely unhinged solo by a guy named Eric Johnson. Well, I liked it enough that I bought a copy of his album Tones. Actually, I remember the coincidence because I had also picked up a copy of Guitar Player magazine the same day, and it had a transcription for the acoustic piece from the album, Desert Song. Tones ended up being a big part of my life over the next year or so. There was a lot on that album that appealed to me. Guitar techniques I'd never encountered before, things I didn't know were possible on the instrument. Plus, he seemed to have an absolutely limitless vocabulary, both in terms of phrasing and, well, tones. Mostly, though, it was just so musical. Since so many of my friends were into hard rock and metal, I'd heard my fair share of the 80s shredders. And while many of them made me say, wow, that's an impressive solo, none of them made me say, wow, that's a beautiful song. And so that's what set Eric Johnson apart for me. Oh, and the bassist on the album, Roscoe Beck, I ended up seeing him live in Barcelona as Leonard Cohen's bass player and band leader. The standout tracks for me are Bristol Shore and Zap. Final analysis. Is this an album I still like? Yes, much nostalgia wrapped up in this one. Is this an album I still spin regularly? Very occasionally. Would I recommend Tones? I think I would. I mean, his next release, Avia Musicom, got so much attention for Cliffs of Dover, and deservedly so, but I still think Tones is my favorite overall Eric Johnson album.